All right, hello and welcome back to Borderline FPL Season 1 episode. What are we on, Ben? 15?
14. I think is it 14 or 15?
I
I
think
thought
it's
last week was 13. It might be 15. Maybe it's 15.
No, I think you're right. I think it's
I
14.
think it's 4. I think last week was 13. But either way, 14 or 15, we'll call it 14.
Yeah, we're on 14. We're heading into game week 14. So actually maybe it is 15 because didn't we do one before game week 1?
Yeah, we did a game week 0. So yeah, maybe it is 15.
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll call it sure. We're around there. Go look.
You
We
guys
don't
get
know.
the picture. You guys
Can
look it
go
up.
look
It's
at last
fine.
week and figure out what it is.
Anyways, welcome back to the podcast that constantly crosses the line between FPL advice and Premier League banter. My name's Chris.
My name is Ben, and it was a weird weekend in the Premier League. Postponements, some upsets.
Yeah, some snowy postponements, brother.
Oh my God, some snowy games, some wins, and just like we always do, we will start with the table.
I'll bring it up for us, like
There we
I
go.
always do be doing.
Yeah, and at the top, it's getting close. I told
it's
you.
been close all season, bro.
I know, but it hasn't been this close. I told you, man. Chelsea. I told you, Man City are coming, and Chelsea. I mean, call it what it was. 2 points dropped against Man United. That should have never been a draw. Should have never been a draw. West Ham still keeping pace up in the top four, tied with Arsenal now. After losing to Man City, funny enough.
Mm-hmm.
And then Liverpool also, I mean, it's a 3-horse race at the top. And then there's a lot of competition for that 4th through about 7th spot for those European spots.
Yeah, undoubtedly. For sure. We saw, we'll go down to the bottom of the table.
Yeah.
Newcastle with another loss this week.
It's tough when you're going up against the best team in the world. You can't blame them.
That's true.
You can't blame them.
That is very true. And then Norwich got a draw. I mean, they're looking a little bit better.
Better defensively.
I definitely expected them to lose against Wolves this week. So I mean, a draw, they take that for sure.
Yeah.
Burnley
obviously didn't play.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they're level on points with Burnley now, though.
Burnley with a game in hand, but that 6-pointer, it's tomorrow. We're recording on a Monday, so Tuesday it's a bunch of midweek games this week. Tuesday there's that Newcastle Norwich game, and that is going to be
that's a big one
for those that enjoy a good relegation scrap. That is about as good as you're going to get right there. That is a 6-pointer for sure.
I think Newcastle will be throwing the house at them, man. They need this. They need this win. They need the 3 points.
Yeah,
100%.
I think they'll go with a very attacking lineup.
It'll be an interesting one. I want to touch on it a little bit more in detail later on. But Newcastle will be without Jamal Lascelles and Matt Ritchie, both serving 1-game ban for getting their 5th yellow card before the halfway point. So, if you by chance own Pookie, most definitely, thank you. Don't sell this week. Playing the worst team on points in the league this week. But it'll be interesting for sure. Obviously, we know the Tottenham and Burnley game got postponed due to poor weather. It was snowing there. I know we saw snow in the Leicester game. We saw snow in the Man City game as well. But Burnley was worse than all of them.
Way too bad, just unplayable for the players. For the pitch,
they could not get it under control at all, even before the game. So the game got called off. How that affects FPL at the moment, it's kind of uncertain from what I hear. If you don't follow Ben Krellin on Twitter, you should at this point. But he usually goes over and handles kind of when postponements are likely to be rescheduled for. And he's saying at this point the likelihood is sometime around game week 21 to 22, but that would be if Tottenham lost their what are they still in? Are they still in the FA or are they still in the League Cup? I can't remember.
They're in both. The FA Cup's only played one.
It's one or the other.
The FA Cup's played
they would have to lose their
yet.
Next tie in order for that game to be rescheduled then.
Maybe they have. No, I don't even think the FA Cup's started yet. Maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe it's only played one round. But the League Cup's the one that's been going on throughout the season.
Yeah, so I think it's a League Cup tie.
The League Cup's in the final 8 teams at this point, I believe.
And Spurs are still in it? Okay.
Spurs are still in it.
That's the one he was talking about for sure.
Yeah.
So if Spurs lose their next League Cup tie, their game against Burnley is likely to get rescheduled that midweek in between game week 21 and 22. Do with that information as you want, but obviously if you had Spurs assets or Burnley assets this week. They did not play
Yeah.
for FPL. And Ben, what was the game of the week for you, and what are some things that you're, I guess,
Standing out?
standing out to you?
Yeah, for me, it was Leicester. Obviously, hadn't had a win in 3 games, and you're going up against a team who's not that good in Watford, but they've shown they can get results. They beat Man United, and they dominated them. I thought that was impressive. I thought Man United getting a draw against Chelsea was good for them, but undeserved. So I don't want to give them too much credit because I don't believe they deserved the draw.
Yeah.
A Jorginho mistake and a Jorginho goal on either side of the pitch decided it.
Right.
But really, I don't think they deserved a point out of that game. But getting a point from Chelsea, doesn't matter who you are, is very good. But for Man United, losing your manager, going back into the Premier League, coming off of a Champions League win, to get a draw against Chelsea, you're never going to say no to that. So very impressed by them.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, really not too much. Another standout thing is just the form of Everton's been terrible, and we've talked about their injuries. I don't want to harp on it.
Yeah.
But they are well and truly in the mud from where they started this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Benitez will start to be under some pressure as they get a couple of their main players back, if he can't return to the form that we saw at the beginning of the season, then his job will most certainly be under pressure. I mean, we saw with Dean Smith, if you take 5 L's in a row, your job's done basically no matter what. And
well, he has Liverpool up next, so
right, which is a tough one, and they've lost 4 out of their last 5, maybe even more than that if we go back. I actually kind of want to look real quick. Fixtures. Does it not show me last ones?
Go to results. Go to results.
Oh, thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, let's take a look at these results real quick. So L draw, L draw.
Man United.
So they haven't won since game week. What is this? 5?
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
That is tough. We're going into game week 14, and they have not won since game week 5. So, yeah, that's not looking good for Benitez. I know, obviously, they're without DCL. They just got Abdoulaye Doucouré back this week. Gray came on as a sub, so I think he's kind of
he's slowly getting his fitness back. Yeah,
right. But yeah, that's a tough one, and
it's a tough.
He may be the next manager out, which is crazy. I still want to know the information on if this season so far has been the most managers fired in the first, like.
Yeah, I have no idea on that stat, but I'm sure that is somewhere in the archives.
For sure.
It's definitely up there for sure. But we'll see. But yeah, a lot of not too much movement on the table yet, but this week could.
Yeah, I think most of the results, other than United tying Chelsea, were pretty predictable this week. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Villa beating Palace, I wouldn't say was expected, but.
Yeah, I expected Palace.
It's not.
It was a 2-1 victory.
It's not a crazy upset. Also, it's not like I'm sitting here like, oh my god, No, it's like, okay, cool.
Right. I agree.
I say the biggest quote unquote upset was Norwich holding Wolves to 0-0. Honestly.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. But we still need to realize that under Bruno Lage, they're still effectively.
They're learning. No, I don't think they're going to finish in the European spots, but they're doing a great job at the moment. Yeah. So. Anyways,
let's go into the games. We get to start with ourselves this week, Ben. We were the 7:30 a.m. Eastern time kickoff.
Yeah, we were the early kickoff
on Saturday, hosting the bottom of the league, Newcastle. What did you have to say on this one?
Yeah, I mean, more or less after the first 30 minutes where both teams kind of had their chances, it was all Arsenal all day. They settled into the game well. Aubameyang should have scored. That killed me. But Saka once again showing why he's getting called up to England and getting starts for England and the best youngster in the world. And then Martinelli, so happy to see him back on the pitch taking his chance, showing why he's better than Neymar and just bagging a world-class goal. He
came on for Saka, right? Saka
came off injured. Martinelli came on, and it took him 93 seconds to score.
Yeah, well, and what an assist by Tommy as well, man.
Yeah, that was an incredible assist. The man of the match, however, was Nuno Tavares, who was keeping Tierney out of his spot.
Yeah.
He was the man of the match.
Well, it
He
was.
was everywhere.
Did you? I forget what we predicted last week, but I
We thought
think
Tierney would come back.
yeah, we thought Tierney
We
would
say
come back
because
in
of how bad he played against Liverpool.
Yeah, but it's good to see Arteta show some faith in Tavares. You know,
Well, it's very Wenger-esque. There was a Wenger quote that said, if I play a 20-year-old in the Premier League, he will cost me points, and I will have to stand up and defend him for that. Whereas if I played a 28-year-old, he would cost me less points, but he won't develop. But if I play that 20-year-old in 3 to 4 years, wow, you have a player. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like Arteta's using that logic. I mean, Arsenal's been playing.
I mean, we're the
youngest squad.
We're the youngest squad in the
and
league.
You look at it again. It was Saka, it was Smith Rowe, it was Odegaard, who is an old. Tomiyasu's not old. Tavares, who is an old. Ben White is not a veteran. Gabriel is not a veteran. Ramsdale is not a veteran. The only veteran in this team is Aubameyang, Partey. Lokanga, like 22 years old, and Xhaka when he comes back. Those are the three like senior players that have a lot of international experience.
Caps,
yeah. But other than that, it is youth FC. But I mean, it's working, and I don't know how long it can work for. And obviously, it showed against teams like Liverpool when we played Chelsea and Man City. It showed, but I mean, this game was dominant. Other than one ridiculous Ramsdale save, Newcastle never looked like scoring like at all. There was
I think Callum Wilson had a decent chance in the early minutes of the game, but other than that, I agree with you. I thought we looked pretty solid. Ramsdale, you know, he does his job. He does his job. When he's called upon, he's making the saves, and he's just continuously been so impressive. Mm-hmm. I think Tavares is one to talk about in terms of FPL at this point. 4.3 million. If he continues to start over Tierney, that's good value. I mean, he's even cheaper than Ben White, who's still at 4.4, and we know that Tavares likes to get forward, and honestly, he shoots too often. Eventually, one of these is probably going to go in.
He went to the Thomas Partey school of shooting. Good Lord, he kept everyone in row Z on their toes.
But he's definitely attacking a lot down that left-hand side.
He loves to do. At one point, he was playing right winger last week.
Right.
He literally, there's rumors that he's still running right now. The guy doesn't stop. He's got an engine, and for $8 million, he's looking to be one of the bargains of the summer. Not the signing of the summer. I'm not going to be delusional, but one of the bargains of the summer for sure.
Yeah, well, and like I said, I think he's one to consider for sure in terms of FPL. I would. It's a tough one, right? Because it seems like Tierney could come back in at any given game
point,
week, right?
And Tierney's not one to lose his spot once he has it.
Typically not. Yeah. I mean, the reason Tavares got a chance is because he got an injury. But having said that, it does seem like Arteta is definitely showing some faith in the younger lad, the Portuguese, and he's doing well. Mm-hmm. You know, bar his really bad game against Liverpool. I'm not going to act like it was any different.
But no, he's been playing very well other than that game when he has played. He's impressed. He's gone forward. He got an assist this game. I don't know. It was a really, really dominant performance by Arsenal. You have Callum Wilson. I have St. Maximin. Obviously, I didn't bring him in for this game. I brought him in for the game before, and I brought him in for Norwich this week. So I'm holding. Other than that, outside of those two, I don't think there's many Newcastle assets.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. You certainly don't want to invest in their defense. I think the two main ones are Callum Wilson and Alan St. Maximin. You could make a case for Willock to pop up in these games and show a little form that he showed last year. If you wanted to take a punt for the next 2 weeks on a cheap midfielder, honestly, I wouldn't call you crazy with Joe Willock. I really wouldn't.
The other one that I would actually look at that's not Willock is Frazier, who played under Eddie Howe at Bournemouth and had ridiculous amounts of success.
Yeah, I could see that. Those are obviously way more punty, and Ben kind of already just said I did transfer in Callum Wilson ahead of this game week, so he was not on my team last week, but he was my transfer in this week. But we'll get more into that later. It's always a bit of a risk transferring in a striker in the bottom of the league, but their next two fixtures are prime, and quite frankly, they have to get results out of these next two games. And those two are the ones that are going to lead them to some success if they are to get the 3 points out of the next two games. So, from an Arsenal point of view, if you're a Emile Smith-Rowe owner, don't panic. Obviously, he's still playing. He's getting good minutes. Saka was the goal scorer this week. Ben, talk to me a little bit about FPL from Arsenal point of view. You are a Aubameyang and Tierney owner. Give me your thoughts.
Tierney's an interesting one because you never know when he's going to come back into the side. I'm considering maybe transferring out for a cheaper asset and grabbing someone like a Ben White if I need something that's cheap and guaranteed to start. Aubameyang, yeah, I'm not going to sit here and suggest to get Aubameyang, but yeah, I'm biased as hell. I love Arsenal and I want to keep him. So that's quite literally my logic for it. But no, I'm not going to act like he's some great value or anything. But he also does have a track record of scoring in big games and scoring against United. So maybe he goes off this week, maybe he doesn't. I don't really care. I like him a lot as a player. As long as we win, I really don't care.
That's yeah.
So yeah,
no, that's fair. I
it's not an FPL point of view. It's a completely fan. I just want to see my team win.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I get what you're saying there. I would say from an FPL point of view, if you are a Tierney owner, I would definitely suggest to get rid at this point. There's definitely other value players even cheaper than Tierney at the moment that you can transfer in and get more points out of. You don't want to be worrying about somebody at that value starting or not. So I would, it would definitely be risky to go for Tavares because at any point in time,
he could go.
And this is the exact same.
I'd stay away from Tavares.
Well, this is the exact same conundrum I had earlier on this year when I had Alonso and Chilwell started playing,
and then everyone brings in Alonso, and then immediately, boom, gone.
Well, well, that's my point. Is I chose to go completely away from Chelsea defense, which has hurt me long term, to be honest. But it was because I knew at any point Alonso could come back into the team over Chilwell. Obviously, that didn't end up happening, but it was always a possibility, so it kind of scared me off of it. But it's kind of the same thing with Tavares and Tierney. Either one could play at any given game. I think, especially as these fixtures start to pick up over the Christmas period, a strong bench is more needed. So I do advocate for a stronger bench over this period. I actually don't have a very strong bench, so I may struggle a little bit when some of my players get benched. But that's something I know ahead of time, and I'm willing to take the punishment for it at this point in time. I may try to strengthen my defense in a couple weeks as well, or my bench in a couple weeks as well. But Martinelli, obviously not an FPL asset. Saka getting the goal this week. Keep an eye out on his injury status. I think he'll be okay.
He should be fine. He was walking.
He may not play. He may not play Thursday, but I would think he would be ready for the weekend at the very least.
I'd be shocked if he doesn't start Thursday, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, keep an eye out for pressers. See if Arteta says anything. But yeah, we'll move on from this game.
Yeah, Gerrard versus Vieira for the umpteenth time, but this time as managers, and it was really Villa a bit. It was an interesting game. Target with a good goal, and then Villa were kind of just having their way with it, and then Douglas Luiz got a red card, and then he got it rescinded.
Yeah.
So he got to stay on, and then John McGinn with, like, I don't know how many times this guy gets to shoot the ball from outside the box, and it just finds a corner. It's insane. And then Palace with kind of a whatever goal. So from a FPL game, not many great things. Not many people own the Palace goal scorer, assister, and target is maybe the only one, unless people have John McGinn. Credit to you. Yeah. But not a really great FPL game. But for Villa, turning it around with Gerrard is very impressive. What he's done: 2 games, 2 wins.
Yeah, big games for them for sure. They've got who they got City this week, so definitely a tough matchup for them this week. Difficult. But they are at home, so huge test for Gerrard. I doubt they expect anything out of it, but it's good for them to get their feet up underneath them after 5 straight L's. Gerrard's came in and got them 2 straight wins, so that's good for them. Gahey with kind of a garbage time goal against Villa to destroy their clean sheet, but not a whole lot to say on attacking here. I think we all expected Palace to do a bit better, especially in terms of an attacking point of view for this game. At home, they've performed really well this year so far. If you're a Benteke owner, if you're a Zaha owner, if you're a Gallagher owner, I still think they're good holds. I think you can even make a case for transferring in
one of those three.
Any one of those 3 at this point. I still think they have good fixtures moving forward. So, yeah. Other than that, anything you had to say on Palace or Villa?
Not really this game. I mean, it was just kind of
I think it'll be interesting to see how I think Ings was benched this week.
I thought
So
was he still injured or was he just benched?
I think he was benched because he played in the first game with Gerrard back.
Yeah, fair
So
enough.
it's tough. It looks like it's tough for the both managers. It was tough for the previous manager and Gerrard to fit both Ings and Watkins in the team. So it'll be interesting to see how that moves forward. And I don't really think Aston Villa are prime on our kind of watch list for FPL at the moment, but they will. Their fixtures do turn sometime around game week 17, I think, if I remember correctly. That's just off the top of my head. So, we may talk about them a bit more in depth later on down the road, but we can move on to the thrashing, which could have been way worse, to be honest. Liverpool 4, Southampton 0.
Yeah, I mean, it's about what you'd expect from these two teams, right? Liverpool competing for a title, Southampton just trying to compete. It was the Diego Jota show for a little bit, a couple of tap-ins for him.
My boy.
Yeah, you brought him into your team this week. Congratulations on your points. He still didn't get full bonus, which is wild. He got one bonus point.
Yeah, he got taken off, and then for whatever reason.
But yeah, there were definitely a couple chances I thought Southampton had to steal one. Allison came up big a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
Trent with another assist. If you don't have Trent at this point, get him. Robertson with an assist off a free kick. Almost had two, but they called Mane's goal back.
Mm-hmm.
And then Big Verge with a header. Thiago scoring in back-to-back games. That is not in the Premier League, but Champions League, and here with a couple. This one, the big deflection, but starting to get some attacking prowess for Thiago. I don't think he's an option at this point still.
No, you certainly wouldn't waste a Liverpool slot on Thiago.
No, on Thiago, no. But yeah, I mean, there's not much to say. It's what you'd expect from where these two teams are and what these two teams have been doing all season. This is a very expected result. There's nothing surprising here other than Salah didn't score.
Yeah, I would agree. I also backed Mane to score in this game against his old team. He typically does score against Southampton. Mm-hmm. He was also my player pick. We'll obviously get to that towards the end. But I think, like you said, I think TAA is as close to essential as it could possibly be.
Yeah, him and Salah are both locks.
And I personally, I am, obviously, we know this because I transferred him in this week. Whenever Firmino's hurt, I think Jota's like a no-brainer in FPL. Like, I just have to have him. Like, I prioritize him over pretty much anybody in the game just because he is always in the mix for, like, he may or may not score, but he always has chances in games. Always has chances in games. And he got a brace within like 20 minutes of this game.
Yeah,
it could have been stupid. Way worse. He had 2 to 3 opportunities to make it a hat trick and didn't take the chances, but he's so threatening. And there were 2 forwards, like FPL forwards this week with above a 1 expected goals, above a 1.0 XG. One of them being Adam Armstrong, who had like three big chances.
Southampton had their chances. Like the clean sheet could have been wiped super easily, but Allison kind of stood on his head this game. That's why he's one of, if not the best goalkeeper in the world.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not going to get into that debate, but he's definitely top 5. So, yeah, I mean, I don't want to linger on this one too much because it's kind of what you'd expect. We'll get into the captain situation with Salah later.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, this really is just what you would expect from this game.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's really anything to say on Southampton at the moment. Their fixtures are tough at the moment. I think you could even – those people like myself and Ben who got Livramento in early and have gotten 6 price rises out of him, he's – now sellable for 4.3 if you bought him in at 4.0. I honestly wouldn't. I think it's a decent.
Holding. They play Leicester next, I believe. I don't know. He's just a decent. I
think. Yeah, I mean, he's obviously not a priority sell, right? But also, if you wanted to cash in on the money that you've made on him so far, I also don't think that's a horrible decision either.
Yeah, but as you said earlier, if you're looking for a strong bench to go into these fixtures with, having him on it if you got him at 4.0, like, there's no problem with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with you. I agree.
Anyways, moving on to one of the most boring.
We got 2 back-to-back
0-0s.
Let's just pull them both up, right?
Yeah, we'll try to go through these quickly. I brought in Jimenez actually for my team this week, which was disappointing.
Yeah, that's tough.
I still back him. I think he'll score soon.
Who they got this week? Burnley?
I literally had it pulled. I think it is Burnley. Yeah, I think it is Burnley. So
Early
I could
on.
see him doing something. They have a couple good fixtures, and then he might be out of my team. I brought him in for this period.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Newcastle, Pookie still is really the only asset in this team, in my opinion. Actually, funny enough, due to Son not playing and Foden not playing, I brought in Brandon Williams off my bench for a 7-pointer, which is
Yeah.
nice.
That is
Like
nice.
that, I'm not going to take credit for that. I never expected to start him, let alone him get 7, let alone have one of my players not play a game, and Foden obviously just was
Yeah, he
injured
kind
still.
of salvaged your game week a little bit. I mean, I
Oh,
know it
dude, no,
wasn't great, but
my game week was awful. It doesn't
yeah.
matter. But yeah, there's really not much to say. Wolves assets, I still think it's Jimenez and Huang.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's much outside of that, to be honest. In
Yeah.
Newcastle assets, it's Pookie. Like,
Yeah,
if you
I
want to
agree.
do it, I didn't get a
I
cheap
actually
player
really,
for bench
really,
yet.
really rate Pookie this upcoming game week against Norwich. I think he'll absolutely score.
Against
I saw an
against
insane
Newcastle.
I saw an
Newcastle, man.
insane stat for Newcastle defense. Every single forward, FPL classified forward that has played against Newcastle this year has scored on them. The exceptions being
Aubameyang?
no. Did Abba score?
No, he didn't last week. Alba did not score last
Okay,
game.
yeah. So the exception being
yeah, it's
Alba,
Alba.
and then the other exception being Kai Havertz, who's technically a midfielder in this game.
Yeah.
When they won 7-0 and he didn't do anything. But every other forward that has played against them in this season has scored on them.
Yeah, their defense is just abysmal, and they're losing their captain this weekend. Or this Tuesday, not weekend, excuse me.
Yeah, they'll be without Jamal Lascelles, and they'll also be without Matt Ritchie, 2 keys to their defense. So
yeah, that's going to be a tough sledding for them, but you never. It's Norwich as well. Like, it's not like they're going.
Well,
up
I think this
Liverpool.
game will be fun to watch this week.
Oh no, I'll
sure.
be watching it tomorrow. Absolutely, yeah. Anyways, moving on to the other 0-0. We'll try to breeze through these for y'all.
Brighton's really come back to the mean, man. It's
they've really regressed. Sanchez with 4 saves. He's my goalkeeper. He had an 8-pointer, which is great.
Did you see the Potter stuff after the game?
No, what did he say?
So essentially, literally, Brighton fans were booing off Brighton and Potter after this game, and Potter got like really pissed off about it, and essentially said in his interview, I guess some of these fans need a bit of a history lesson on their own club, but we're sitting at 8th in the Premier League right now, so I really can't fathom what's going on. Obviously, they don't know everything that goes into a game, but I think booing is a bit of a stretch. Is basically what he said. So
I'm with him on that. Like, I get that you have high expectations and you want your club to do the best. And you always want to go there and see them win, but like, come on now. Like, you got to relax. You don't boo this team. They didn't even lose. If they lost, I get it. They didn't play poorly, right? Like, they didn't win. It's all that happened.
Yeah,
so,
I think they probably should have won this game. Rafinha actually looked really poor in this game. I don't know. Obviously,
there wasn't much in this game. I mean, Sanchez had a couple decent saves, Messier as well. I think Lamptey is one to watch for the future as a potential cheap defensive option because he loves getting forward, and last year he was cooking. Outside of Sanchez and Lamptey, I wouldn't even go on Lamptey at the moment. I'm really not huge on this team, either team. I think Brighton has great defense.
Yeah.
That being said, I think there's other options as well that are in like just stronger teams that could get you clean sheets. But yeah.
One thing of note is I don't expect Bamford to be back midweek this week, but I would expect him to be back this weekend. So that would be game week 15. He played 97 whole minutes for the U23s last night. So he is looking back to being in shape. I would expect him to return to the first team in game week 15. Maybe he gets some minutes off the bench in game week 14.
We'll see.
But
we'll see.
That'll be big.
That's a huge boost. It's a huge boost for them. They need something. They've had a really poor season. Speaking of really poor season, that next game.
Yeah, we can keep moving. The Sunday fixtures. Brentford 1, Everton 0. This was a very drab game. Tony got a penalty goal in like the 10th or 11th minute, something like that, and nothing happened the rest of the game.
Literally. Like, that was it. Like, I have him Wemo. He hasn't been doing anything. I'm looking to get him out at some point soon. But honestly, like, I mean, this game was super boring. I wouldn't say there's an Everton asset at the moment that I'd go for. They look awful. They just look awful.
Yeah. Well, they've conceded the most chances out of any other side in the last 5 game weeks.
Yeah,
So their defense
they're
is
in the
really
mud,
struggling.
and we touched on their injuries earlier, and that obviously doesn't help their defense. When you have your attack being out and your best midfielder being out, it's going to hurt the defense. So it's kind of a trickle down effect.
Right.
I'd stay away from all Everton assets. Tony's the only one I'd go for from Brentford, and I say that being an Embuemo owner.
Yeah.
And
I
that's only if
I
you
actually
need a
sold
bucket striker.
Tony this week. He scored this week off a penalty, but he has not looked that threatening.
They haven't looked good. They haven't looked good in weeks.
And
that team.
I'm, if you wanted to hold, I'm not against holding. I had, this planned out in advance, this move. So yeah, I think Tony, I agree with you. I think Embuemo's probably been one of the biggest FPL trolls of the season. Just constantly looking like scoring, but never actually scoring.
Just hitting the post constantly.
And yeah, Everton is a complete avoid in my opinion as well. Hopefully DCL comes back sometime soon, because I think he's had a couple price drops. He may be a decent option when he comes back if Everton starts to show some form again. They did get Decore back this week, which will be a big boost to them moving forward. But yeah, not much to say. I think Everton's got to, obviously they're not going to be expecting to win against Liverpool this weekend, but
No.
I think, what's their next game after that?
Us.
Oof.
Us on Monday.
They've got a tough one, man.
I know. I told you. That's why I told you I wasn't happy about Decore being back. Like I am, because I like to see players get healthy, but I wouldn't have minded if he missed our fixture, obviously.
Yeah, well, Benitez is going to be on the hot seat, man, especially if he takes an L to Liverpool and
He's
then
us.
us.
Take an L to Liverpool. He's not beating Liverpool.
Bro.
Like I'll say that right now with like full confidence. He's not beating Liverpool.
No, I agree with you 100%.
But I also don't think that that's a game that even before all the injuries, when they look at the calendar at the beginning of the year and they're going through trying to plan their points, that's not a game that they circled as like, oh yeah, 3 points.
I agree with you, right? But also let's take into consideration the same thing that happened to Aston Villa. They ran into a couple fixtures that they wouldn't have expected to win early on in the season, but just the pure fact of having 5 straight losses, it was out with Dean Smith. So yeah,
we'll see.
Benitez is going to be on the hot seat.
If Liverpool finished Benitez, that's like some weird poetic justice there.
Yeah, true.
That really is. It really would be some weird stuff. But yeah, I stay away from everybody but Tony in this game for those two teams.
Yeah, I can't really necessarily disagree with you there. I think Sergi Canos is interesting, but I wouldn't.
Yeah, I think there's options better.
Yeah, I agree. All right, 4-2 Leicester. This was another snowy game, Ben. It was fun to watch, though.
Yeah, a lot of snow on the ground. Tough to even see the game at times through the cameras. The first goal, I don't know what the hell the defender is doing, just letting James
He just
Maddison.
Clearly didn't know that Maddison.
I honestly wouldn't be shocked if Maddison yelled "leave it" and he thought it was his keeper or something. And like, I grew up. For those who know, I grew up playing soccer my whole life. I've done that to defenders. Like literally, there was a time that I was playing a game, and I was racing to the ball, and the keeper was starting to come at me. And he would have beat me there, but I shouted as I was running, like, stay there, stay in, stay in. And he started taking steps back, and I got to the ball first and bagged because I think he thought it was his coach yelling at him to stay back.
You're a troll.
Yeah, but I scored. So
that's awesome.
I wouldn't be shocked if I've even seen it in hockey, actually. I remember Kovalchuk did that for the Thrashers one time. He was behind the net, and he told someone on the other team to, like, leave the puck, and he took it and slammed it home.
That's awesome.
So I wouldn't be shocked if Madison.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a big blunder there. He literally ducked under the ball, too.
No, like, he could have had it. No, like, it wasn't like he mistimed his jump. He literally just let it roll. I'm assuming he thought it was Foster there or something, but
yeah.
I mean, good to see Madison back in a starting 11 and then bagging. Obviously, like, it's a very easy goal at the end of it, but like,
yep, he was actually the top FPL scorer of the game week on 16 points, a goal, 2 assists, and all 3 bonus. Yeah, Vardy owners, congrats. That's a huge game week for any Vardy owners this week. That's big time, getting 2 goals, and then two of the bonus points, especially in a game week where probably most people going up against Vardy have Son or Kane, instead, and they didn't even
that's
play.
Just unlucky. That's just unlucky on the. I'm a Son owner. You're a Kane owner.
Yeah,
that's just incredibly unlucky the way that went down.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely backed Leicester to get back into form for this game, so I'm not shocked at all that Vardy scored.
I think having the main alternatives not play is just unlucky as well.
Right. This is an interesting one to talk about from an FPL point of view. Vardy, we do know he's getting older in age, these are the type of fixture runs where we may see a benching for him. Even Rodgers put out a quote today saying, Vardy's getting older. Mid-game week fixtures like this are tough for him. So they have Iheanacho and Daka in the back.
Daka's proven. I mean, Iheanacho's proven himself last year. Daka has fully proven himself.
Right. So I would not be shocked to see Vardy benched midweek.
Well, I also wouldn't be shocked to see him benched because in their Europa League they play Napoli in their last game, and I believe that they are 1 point above Napoli going into the final group stage of Europa League Day. Mm-hmm. So that game is obviously going to take a lot of importance. And that's not an easy. I believe they're in Napoli as well for that one. Mm-hmm. So that game coming up, you could see Leicester rotate a lot of players. I don't know. Obviously, it'll be interesting, but that is something to keep in mind too, is that unlike Man City, whose European quest is they've won the group already, Leicester have a lot to play for on that final match day.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the Watford Forwards, Ben. They are FPL actually gems at this point, and I feel like we've just continuously throughout the season kind of waved them off and not really paid a whole lot of attention to them. But specifically, Emmanuel Dennis is the second highest scoring forward for FPL this season so far. He is 5.3 million, 5.4.
Jeez.
So yeah. He's dirt cheap, continuously starting. His place is not in jeopardy at all. I know early on in the season we were like, well, maybe João Pedro may come in for him. Nah, Dennis has got this on lock.
He's locked.
We saw King take the penalty while Sarr was out. I would actually expect even with Sarr on the pitch now, King will be on penalties after missing Sarr 2 in a row. Yeah. Bachmann started in net over Foster. Foster does have some sort of groin injury, so Foster may be out for a considerable amount of time. I'm not sure on the timing at this point, but I think Dennis and King are ones to consider. Ben, I think they both have their strong suits. I think obviously Dennis is going to have assists to his game a lot as well, but King does have the added benefit of being the main striker and also being on penalties moving forward. So King a bit more expensive. I think he's about 5.7, 5.8. Check me on that. But I think they're both good options. They have two really tough fixtures up ahead. I think it's Chelsea and then
it's Chelsea
City.
Next. I wouldn't jump on them immediately, but maybe
Chelsea
after that,
and City. But they may be one to look at moving into
a little bit after that.
16,
we might be having a much deeper discussion on them in 2 weeks or something. But for now, I definitely think they're ones just to keep an eye on and monitor. But obviously, like you said, I'm not jumping at the bit to get them in before this run.
Yeah, I agree. It was interesting to hear Madison's post-game conference from this one. He basically said, he was really down on himself earlier on in the season, lacked confidence in himself, and he feels like he's finally got it back. Who knows if that's, I think soccer in general, obviously the mental part of it is huge for them, for sure. But take from that what you want, but I don't know if I'd be touching Madison. I don't think I really would.
He's an interesting one. He's a very interesting one in my opinion. I think he could be worth something.
Yeah, well, I mean, years past he's been a good FPL asset, but he's also very streaky. He's much like Vardy. He goes through streaks of scoring and then streaks of blanking, and he's kind of a frustrating FPL hold because he doesn't really tick along. He kind of just either bags or does absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And so that's tough. But Leicester getting back into form is good to see here. Is funny watching Claudio Ranieri go up against his Leicester team.
Yeah, that's got to be weird for him.
Yeah. Anything else you had to say on these two? What kind of caught your eye? Are you considering either of these teams for FPL?
Madison's one that's very interesting to me. Out of all the players, I think if he stays in this side and he's playing like he can, I think he's a very interesting prospect. Someone to keep an eye on.
That's fair. Forward. I want to see his price real quick. I think he's probably either 6.9, 6.8 if he's dropped a couple times.
I have no idea what his price is.
Madison is 6.6 million. He's dropped 0.4 from his starting price of 7 million. And their next three are Southampton away, Villa away, Newcastle at home. So not horrible, to be honest.
No, some pretty decent shots.
And then they got Spurs at home after that. But yeah,
easy win. Yeah.
He's definitely one to keep an eye on.
Yeah. That's all I got for this game. We
Sweet.
can.
Let's move to the City game. City 2, West Ham 1. This ruined my weekend.
Chris has double City defense, and
Bro.
Lanzini decided to have probably it was the goal of the week. The goal of the week goes to Lanzini, 100%.
It's so troll, man. It's so troll, bro.
Chris isn't happy about it, but Lanzini
City
scored
have
the goal of the
such a
week.
good defense, and then when
There's nothing you can do to defend that. That's not the defense. There's nothing. I mean, yeah, maybe Fernandinho could have just cleared it. It's the last seconds of the game. But Lanzini comes, steals it, back to goal, half turn, half volley, smashes it across the post.
I watched my defenders go from a sum of 15 points to a sum of 3 points in
2 seconds.
2 seconds of the last of literally the last touch of the game. They didn't kick off after that. It was the last touch of the game.
No, that was it. The game was over. It was 94-0-4, and the game had 4 added minutes when Lanzini scored.
Proper pissed me off.
It also would have been Ederson's 100th clean sheet, by the way, for City, I believe. Yeah, I mean, other than that, Gundogan scoring, Mahrez assisting. I think the City lineup is about to get very Pep Roulette over the next 2 weeks.
Hey, should I transfer in Mahrez?
You could, but the thing is, like, they're already qualified for Champions League, right? For the next round. So this last game,
we may see a bit more of Mahrez in the league.
And they've won the group. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's gonna get really, really, because they beat PSG. For those that don't know, Man City beat PSG 2-1 last week. That puts them top of the group with a game in hand. PSG finished second, and then there's RB Leipzig, who can't jump them due to points.
Right. Yeah.
Which basically gives Pep a game in the Champions League that does not matter. Yeah, you can win it, great, whatever. You can give someone experience. He has no reason to play anyone in that game. None. So now he has his full complement for the Premier League for like 2 games in a week. It's going to get weird with the lineups he's about to start rolling out. I have no clue what he's going to do. No one ever does, but do know that it is going to move around a lot.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked at all to see a Cancelo rest coming up soon.
It would make sense. He's
played nonstop this year so far.
And they're going to get to go into the knockout rounds. It's going to be difficult in the knockout rounds.
City are about to run into a really, really good run of fixtures, which is frustrating from FPL point of view, because around this time of year is when we'll see some of the most rotation. So you own Foden. You said you plan on keeping.
I'm going to keep him. I think he's still good value. I think he'll still keep playing.
Okay.
So I think that he'll play others in the Champions League over Foden. And if you need someone in the Prem, it will be Foden, because Foden's young and he wants to play.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. Obviously, he has his full arsenal. KDB missed out again this week. I think he's kind of still recovering. I don't think he's really that hurt.
I don't think there's any reason to rush KDB back on their side.
There's definitely not.
He also finished 8th in Ballon d'Or voting today. KDB did.
I saw
8th
that.
best player in the world.
I saw that. And I think this will be a tough one to kind of figure out. I think Gundogan may become a decent FPL pick again, like he did last year. I think Bernardo Silva, if he's continuously is actually decent, but it's just tough because
he could rotate. Because Bernardo in the game against PSG was brilliant. He's not going to get dropped from Champions League. He was 47 for 47 passing against PSG.
I saw that.
It's stupid. Like, you don't deliver.
And he had an assist as well in that game.
Yeah, you don't get dropped from the Champions League squad doing that. So City, as always, but right now more than ever, are about to be mad rotation risk. West Ham are about to start a good run of fixtures soon.
Yep.
Obviously, Antonio's kind of the guy. Bowen's a great shout. There's options there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I think those two are the main two. I think Lanzini's probably not that guy. I think defensively.
No, I mean, he came on as a sub, right?
So, he's always a sub. I think there's defensively some decent options within West Ham, but
one I want to highlight is I actually brought him into my team 2 weeks ago. Is Ben Johnson? He's 4.0 and he's consistently starting at right back over Vladimir Kufal. And I mean, he had a great clearance off the line this week to save Man City going 3-1 up. He's been playing well, and obviously he has the trust of the manager at the moment. And I think he's great value for FPL, especially if he continues to start regularly for this team moving into this good fixture run that they're about to hit. Game week 17 is when it starts.
Yeah.
So, yeah, interesting. Rice is on 4 yellow cards. I will move into that after actually this next game, after we go over it. There are quite a few players that are on the verge of If they get a 5th yellow, they'll be suspended for the next game. So one to monitor for FPL. Obviously, not many of us have Declan Rice in our FPL teams, but
he's a legend, though.
True. All right, 1-1 Chelsea at home to Man United.
Such a shithouse 1-1 for United.
It was, but here's what I want to say on this, Ben. I was impressed by the way United set up for this game. They knew they at least had a game plan, right? This is not something that we saw much under Ole, where Ronaldo was benched and they started with Rashford and Sancho up top trying to hit them on the counter, which is exactly what they ended up doing.
It's what they did. They shouldn't have if Jorginho could settle the ball.
Yeah.
They did. And Sancho with his first Premier League goal, credit to him. That's awesome. That's 2-2 for him, actually. He scored in the Champions League as well. So 2-2 for him. United will obviously hope that form continues after dropping, 90-odd million on him this summer. You want him to start bagging goals.
Yeah.
In games like that, big games, Champions League and against Chelsea.
For
For Chelsea, though, really interesting to point out, Lukaku was back this week. He came on as a late sub. I think he played like 8 minutes maybe.
Yep.
But obviously that's a nod of things to come for Chelsea. I think the Hudson-Odoi going up top era might be coming to an end. Pulisic also coming on as a sub this game. He's someone that might be competing for a starting spot soon.
Yeah.
Well, they're about to turn into a lot of rotation risk.
Yeah.
I don't think Ziyech is one that he's going to want to keep starting.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, if Lukaku starts this game, Chelsea win this game comfortably. Werner botched like 3 or 4 decent chances.
Rudiger missed a sitter at the end. He went for power.
Yeah, Rudiger missed a sitter. He also hit the bar earlier in the game as well.
Rudiger. Like I said, this is a game. I think the XG was like Chelsea had over 2 and Man United had like 0.8 or something.
Yeah.
So this is a game that Chelsea should have won.
Right.
100%.
Right. I think it was interesting to see, there was some talk, some FPL people thinking that Alonso would not start at left wing back. He did come off. So I don't know if that was...
It might have been a tactical thing to go more forward, I guess.
Well, you would want him on the pitch if you wanted him more forward, right?
I mean, unless you wanted to switch to a 4 at the back and just kind of send it.
Yeah, I don't know. He's 5.6 million. I think he's a decent pick if he obviously he's actually a great value pick if he continues to start.
Yeah.
And, I think a couple
United,
people went for him already. It'll be, if he's starting against Watford this week, he's a great pick.
He's a great pick, yeah. It's an interesting one with United, too, because now you have Ronaldo. Is he going to keep getting benched, their new manager?
No, certainly not. I think it was kind of the stars.
I think he might because the way that their new manager likes to play is pressing.
No shot.
Their manager likes to play a pressing. Their new guy they just brought in.
I know Ralph Rangnick likes to play, like he's kind of wrote the book on pressing from the top. I get that, but they're not going to bench Ronaldo. If anyone's that guy, it's
Cavani. Cavani would thrive in this guy's system.
I will
Cavani,
bet you.
I'm right. Cavani is built for
I'm
this
not
system,
saying that your thought process is incorrect. I'm saying that I will bet you $100 right now that Ronaldo starts 4 out of 5 next games.
Probably because he's Ronaldo, but I don't know. He has not been proving to.
I think it was just a good opportunity for Carrick to bench him this week because number one, he's played a lot of minutes. He is getting older. They do need to take that into consideration, and also this game specifically, if they're going to win a game like this, they need to be pressing from the top and hitting them on the counter, which is something that Ronaldo doesn't do that great anymore. He's obviously a great poacher in the box. He's still one of the best finishers in the world, but he's not gonna provide that same level of output that Rashford and Sancho put into this game. So, yeah, I think it was obviously Jorginho mishap turned into a lucky draw for United, but they'll take that all day.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lucky pen that they got too, with like going out of the box and hitting Thiago Silva, and right. So I mean, United could have easily won this game in an ugly way.
Yeah,
but it wouldn't have been the draw. I don't think the draw was deserved, but credit them, credit Carrick. That's a win and a draw in his 2 games in charge, and he might be in charge for Arsenal. We don't know. It is a, quote, race against time to get their new interim manager in there.
I think FPL, Ben, let's talk about FPL for both these teams a little bit. Actually, even more so about United because we haven't talked about them for a while. Greenwood's kind of out of the picture from what it seems. Pogba did not play this game. He's got a thigh injury, unknown return date. Lingard still looks to be on the bench heavily, most of the time coming on as a sub. I think Sancho and Rashford moving forward could become part of our thought process a little bit. Fernandes has been incredibly underwhelming. The stat that I saw is he hasn't had a shot in the last 6 game weeks or something.
Since a shot on target.
Target.
He missed the penalty, which doesn't count too. So
yeah, which is crazy.
I'd stay away from him. If out of any of those you just named, I'm picking Rashford.
Okay. Yeah, so Rashford is 9.4 million. Sancho is currently 8.9. I think they'll both come into the conversation as, a potential differential once United's fixtures kind of swap here in the next couple of weeks. They've got us this week, and then after that their fixtures are actually kind of unreal for the next 12 to 13 game weeks. So we will absolutely be looking at Man United from there on. It'll be interesting to see how Ralph Rangnick kind of moves them forward, and if they start to look better. He's been appointed as an interim manager, so he's not a long-term appointment. He knows that coming in.
But he has expressed interest in being the full-time manager, and he did negotiate that he will be helping with the club behind the scenes for 2 years.
Interesting.
He's known as a good technical director type job. Kind of like what Edu does for Arsenal, helping with the transfers and stuff.
So you're saying if he does not continue on as manager, he has negotiated that he'll take over that role?
He'll take over or have some say in that role for 2 years, yes.
Okay. Interesting. I did not know that. Cool.
So he'll still be involved.
Okay. Well, that about wraps up all the games. Ben, I want to take a look at this real quick. As I said,
this is while you do that, I'm on my phone pulling up questions, just so you know, from Twitter. So I'm not texting.
Well, we'll go over our teams first, and then we'll get into questions. But yeah, go ahead and have those ready. Yeah. So the ones to keep an eye on from FPL point of view have 4 yellows. Could get a 5th and then a potential suspension in the game after are currently Bruno Fernandes. If you still have him, I don't know why you're still playing FPL. João Cancelo.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's
for sure. Shane Duffy, I know a lot of people still have him. And then, there's probably a couple teams that have John McGinn, Tyrone Mings. And then the big one that I actually transferred him in this week, and we'll get to that, is the main man, Callum Wilson.
Oh.
Declan Rice as well for those owners. Paul Pogba's hurt, so he's not really relevant. I know a lot of people actually have Norman as a 4.5 bench fodder. He came off injured this week. Yeah,
it's a bench fodder, but yeah.
And that kind of about wraps it up.
Luke Shaw, and Veltman.
Yeah.
So Wilson, the main one. Just be aware of that, all of you owners, that they are 1 yellow card away from being out for a game week. It's just one. If
you're a safer manager, if you don't like to take risks, if you're looking to get in a Newcastle forward, I would tell you to go St. Maximin over Wilson because I'm just taking the risk. But I will be frustrated if he gets a yellow in this next game and then misses out.
He's out for the next week
for the Burnley game. So. It is what it is. I've taken that risk. I knew the risk ahead of time, but wanted to make sure you guys were well informed. Ben, I will go ahead and move on to my team for the week. Alrighty. All right, we finished on 61 points. Pretty good, all things considered. Average of 44 this game week. I had a game week rank of inside the top million, which is pretty decent. Obviously, it would have been way, way better if we kept this double City clean sheet. That would have been a really, really good game week, to be fair. But happy overall. Obviously, Kane missed out. Could have gone with his points this week. Livermento subbed on for a 0-pointer for Kane. Unfortunate, unlucky. I actually had Delph ahead of him, but Delph didn't play because Decore came back. So, oh well. Antonio with a blank. Tony getting the goal in all 3 bonus. Jota, I'm happy that it feels like for the first time in a while I got a transfer spot on. So, that was nice. I brought in Jota for Kai Havertz, who didn't even play for Chelsea this week. So that was.
Are you making moves this week?
I already made my move, brother. We already talked about it, but I will bring it up.
Oh, yeah, go ahead and show the team.
This is how we're looking ahead of this week. I think my forward line looks pretty juicy, to be honest. I brought in Callum Wilson for Ivan Toney. I think the rest of the team looks fairly solid. Hoping both my City defenders start this week, but I wouldn't be shocked at all to see one of them on the bench.
Yeah.
And I think the midfield looks pretty solid as well. So
I think if anyone's going to get benched, it would be Cancelo because of those 4 yellows.
I agree.
But I could also see Diaz with just how deep they are at center back being benched.
Yeah, I mean he doesn't. He
plays all the time, but they have Stones and Laporte, and those are guys that are going to want to play as well. And if you can afford it, you can rest Diaz. So
yeah, maybe. That would really hurt. I doubt he'd rest them both in the same game.
He could play all three of the center backs and Laporte at left back. He's done it before just to rest Cancelo. But
true. He could do that.
I have no clue what he's going to do. It's pep roulette. There's a million options.
Yep. I've got my bench lined up as Johnson in first here at home to Brighton, and then Livramento second at home to Leicester. So that's how we're looking ahead of game week 14, guys. The deadline is Tuesday. Make sure you're making your transfers. And that's me done. If you want to go ahead and share your screen.
Sharing it now. So I had a much worse game week, just below the average. Sanchez with a big 8-pointer for the King. Love that. Trent must have. Sissoko. I had so many players come off my bench.
Yeah.
Sissoko and Williams coming off the bench, and Livra coming off the bench for 3 guys that just didn't play. I fully expected Tierney to play, and if he did, probably would have had a great week. I brought in Jimenez last week. I still back him to do well this week against Burnley. After that, he might be someone I look to get rid of. Yeah. But he is a good player.
That was always the risk of bringing him in, right? Because you brought him in for Antonio. You're probably going to want to bring him right back out for Antonio.
Potentially, yeah.
So,
but we'll see. I mean, there's options as well. I captained Aubameyang this week because I tweeted that if I got 1 like, I would do it, and so I did. You just
wanted to do it anyways.
Yeah, I always want to do it. I always want to captain.
You gotta stop playing with so much heart in FPL, bro.
No, dude, I can't. I literally can't. I want to bring in more Arsenal players.
Next season, maybe.
Maybe
you gotta play with the heart.
First player on my team sheet is whatever striker we sign in January is the first name on my team sheet.
Oh my god.
But yeah,
hey, do you think we keep Laka, or do you think he goes?
No, he's gone. He's out of contract, and we're not offering him a new one. I think it would be smarter for us to sell in January than it would to let him walk, even if it's like 5 mil, because I know Atletico Madrid are interested. 5 mil, I would take that rather than let him walk for free.
Yeah,
get something. In terms of what I'm doing, this is how I'm lining up right now. I like the front line, honestly. I know Alba against United's not ideal. Tierney might be moved to a different defender. We'll see. Foden I'm keeping. I'm hoping he plays. If he doesn't, I have Livra coming off the bench.
Are you going to start Tierney this week?
I might swap him for a cheaper defender or something. And then going forward, I might be losing Aubameyang at some point, but I don't want to. I really want to get Rashford in my team, quite honestly. So I'll see. And Alba's kind of the ticket to do that. But also I don't want to get rid of Alba because I'm emotionally attached to Arsenal players.
So if you go for Rashford, would that be instead of Ronaldo, or would you want a Ronaldo Rashford double up?
I don't want to stack. I'd rather just take Rashford.
Interesting. That's bold.
I'd rather just take
really
Rashford.
Bold.
I think that he would start on the left if they do a front 3 anyways. So that's what I'm thinking about. That's kind of where I'm leaning. I could do Tierney to someone cheaper this week, like a Ben White, like a Nuno. And then I could potentially try to go Alba out and Emblemo out and bring in Rashford for about 9 and use the remaining to look at someone maybe like Dennis or Benteke, like we've mentioned.
Yeah.
So we'll see about all that, but that's where I'm at. I need to get my transfer in for Tierney, honestly, because I'm sad. Sorry, I'm getting spam calls.
You're good.
But yeah, so those are our teams, and I have them pulled up. Let's get into questions. We have 2 questions. First one from The Real Deal, Trevor Deal, says, which Wolves and Newcastle attacker are the best pick for FPL? Well, Trevor, I just showed you my team, who have both Newcastle and Wolves attackers. There's your answer. I generally do think St. Max and Jimenez are the best options. Wilson is an interesting one, but I think St. Max just has that green light to do whatever he wants whenever he wants, which is why I like him.
Fair enough. I agree with you on the Wolves. I disagree on Newcastle. I think Callum Wilson's overall the better pick. He's the main staple, has penalties, and typically performs really, really well at home. He scored in every home fixture other than one.
Mm-hmm.
The other ones he was out for. So, yeah, I like Callum Wilson, but certainly I'm not saying St. Max is a bad pick. He's a great pick. I just think he has a lot more to do in order to get his goals, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like he basically has to carry the ball all the way up the field and then also score. It seems like he doesn't get much help in terms of goal scoring. He has to do it all himself, whereas Callum Wilson
gets
usually,
the headers and the flicks. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I like both those options for attackers. I would say Jimenez over Hwang, and I think Wilson and St. Max are much closer to call.
You're splitting hairs there.
Yeah.
Second question is a triple question. Last question.
Ben,
he says, first, is Chelsea in trouble? Yes, you guys are finished. Oh, hello?
Yeah, sorry. You cut out for a second. Just go ahead and repeat it.
So, yeah, this is from Jake. It's a triple question. The first one is Chelsea in trouble? Yes, you guys are finished. Second, is Salah a must captain? No, but no one's ever going to blame you if you do. Mm-hmm. And the third is, how many players on relegation teams are too many? Let's actually revisit all those. So I'll take my answers just to heart.
Is Chelsea in trouble? No, definitely not. They had one individual error that led to a lucky draw. And
they should have scored about 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay.
Is Salah a must captain? I'm not going to say yes to that anymore, honestly. I think he's still probably the best pick majority of game weeks. Mm-hmm. But I also think if you're trying to climb in rankings, you're going to have to pick your battles against Salah. And you know what can happen as a result of that. But even the last couple weeks, if you would have gone against Salah, it would have been okay for most picks, to be honest. Mm-hmm. You're not getting like really hurt or anything, which also kind of makes me nervous to do it more in the future because it just feels like he's like gonna explode sometime
soon. He's waiting for the week to get like the 4-goal performance.
Right. So that kind of makes me nervous. The more he doesn't like pop off, the more I feel like he's going
like,
to.
It's coming.
Right.
It's coming. Yeah.
The final one is. Well, actually, I actually do want to touch on captaincy this week, so we'll
talk about it when we do our player picks and everything.
Yeah, and then how many players on relegation teams are too many? I mean,
I don't think there's a limit. I generally don't think there's a limit. Like, if you think there's value, like we were talking today, you think Pukki's a great option. You think Wilson's a great option. He's in your team.
Right.
You have Rafinha, who is just outside of the relegation zone.
Well, that's how I wanted to answer the question. Is it's not really a limit cap. It's more of a, if you're going for players in relegation teams, you have to be playing the fixtures because they don't have the form. Like, it's a pure fixture pick majority of the time. So that being said, I wouldn't really ever want more than 3 max, probably. I mean, if you think about team structure overall, you're not really going to want more than 3 players. I mean, if some of those players are bench fodder, then obviously that doesn't even really matter that much. Like if you have a Brandon Williams who's 3.9 million and coming off your bench this week for a 7-pointer, then obviously you're happy, right?
Works.
That's
Life
fine. But it's really just team dependent, and obviously you need to be paying attention to the fixtures. But I think some of these players, the best players in these quote-unquote relegation teams, have some of the best FPL upside sometimes because not many.
Two weeks ago, St. Max bagged a goal and assist. He was one of the highest scoring forwards. This week, you're huge on Pukki this week. He could go off.
Yeah.
Callum Wilson's in your team. There's players every week that are in relegation sides that can just take off for a week, and they'll outscore the Salahs. They'll outscore the Aubameyangs, the Vardys, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like it all depends on week and sometimes fixture too. I wouldn't put a limit on it, and if you feel good about a guy on a relegation team, don't shy away from it just because, oh well, his team's bad. Right. Yeah, his team's bad, but like if he scores 2 goals and they lose 4-2, it's a lot of points.
Yeah.
It's a lot of points. So
sure.
I wouldn't be scared of the relegation concept.
Yeah, I don't think that concept really even matters in FPL. Like, how many should you have? How many should you not have? I think it really is all just dependent on what the fixtures look like and how risk averse you are in this game, to be honest.
We talked about, like, who's the second highest scoring forward is Emmanuel Dennis.
Right.
And I know they're not in the relegation zone, but they're around there. They're looking trending there.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. Arsenal's 5th on the table. I have a Aubameyang. I'm getting cooked every week for it. So, like, trust me, if I had Dennis, I'd be way higher on points and have an extra $5 million in my bank.
Yeah.
I wouldn't factor relegation into any of your decision making.
Yeah. Well, even more so, honestly, towards the end of the season, like, this is even more of the reason why I'm kind of big
because they go crazy at the end of the year.
Yeah. Well, like, even these games early on, like, that's why I'm big on Callum Wilson this week, or even St. Max, either one.
Mm-hmm.
These are like almost like must-win games for them.
They know it too.
You know that they're going to be coming into this playing their absolute ass off. So, like, that's why, like, there's more to play for. Like, it's the same thing of the top teams. You know, the top teams are coming in competing every week because they're competing for that top four. It's the same thing. It's a survival game down at the bottom, man.
I think it's more so for the bottom teams because this is like, this is when we actually could do something. Like, It's always like last week, Newcastle came to Arsenal, right? It's tough to get jazzed up for a game where you know you're going to have like 30% possession. Right. But then you go up against someone like Norwich, you're like, we can play this game. So when you look at the relegation teams like Newcastle, Norwich, Spurs, Watford, there's a lot of value there. There's a lot of good players.
I agree with you. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Let's talk about captaincy this week a little bit, Ben. I mean, obviously we know Salah has Everton away. Mm-hmm. They've looked very poor recently, so that's definitely an option. What are some other options that kind of catch your eye?
If he's starting, it's got to be Lukaku against Watford.
Okay. I would even go as far to say Reece James. Yeah,
potentially Rudiger if you're looking for.
But I also kind of think that Reece James may get rested for this game.
He is qualified for the Champions League. I think they're top of the group already.
I have a feeling he may get rested this week. That's just a feeling I have.
Who knows? Yeah, there's some tough
Marcus
ones.
Alonso against Watford.
Marcus Alonso could potentially be one. I think that I don't know. Those are the ones that really stick out. I think Son or Kane against Brentford, who haven't looked great, is a decent shout. Yeah. Those are the games I kind of look at. I'd say Big Rome if I wasn't doing Salah. If I had the whole pick of the lot, I would take Lukaku. If I knew he was starting. That's fair. If I knew Lukaku was starting, and if he's like fully back, I would take Big Rome in his return against Watford.
Dude, call me. Obviously, nobody's gonna do this, but call me crazy. If you had Pookie this week, I love that. Yeah, I would be tempted to captain him this week. I'm not even trolling. Yeah, I just really think he'll score this week against Newcastle.
Maybe I'll take him as my player pick since you've already used him.
Yeah, I have already used him.
I could.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and get into that. We might as well, right? Since we've already got him up. Last week, to recap, I took Mane. He took Emile Smith-Rowe. Both blanked, but got a clean sheet point, so 3 points for each. It is still a 1-point game. I'm at 74. He is at 73. So moving into game week 14, Ben.
You have first pick. I took Smith-Rowe last week, and you said you wanted him, but I took him before.
Yes. So I am up first this week.
Yep.
All right. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to go with... Oh, dang. I already used him.
Who were you going to take?
I was going to take Callum Wilson.
Yeah, you used him last week, didn't you?
I used him too.
Oh, no. You used him too, so when I took St. Max and you took Wilson.
Yeah. Let's see. What else do I like here? I actually like
St. Max.
I could take St. Max. This is tough. West Ham against Brighton, I feel like that's going to be a low-scoring game. Mm-hmm. Spurs versus Brentford could go either way. I don't really feel confident enough to take a Kane or a Son there, to be honest. Mm-hmm. Chelsea against Watford. I'm tempted to take a Chelsea defender, but also I feel like Watford may actually score.
I don't know, dude. Chelsea don't concede many goals.
Yeah, they don't, but Watford's forwards have been pretty good. I'm going to go with... Yeah, I'm going to go with St. Max. I think I have to.
So just to be clear, we're allowing to pick against Norwich again, right?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, okay, cool.
They're no longer bottom, and I think it would be silly for us to
just rule them out every week.
Yeah, to ban picking against Newcastle, to be honest. So.
See, I want to take Pookie, but I don't because you talked about it so much. I don't want to just like steal your thunder. So,
why?
I don't want to steal your thunder. So I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go. I know, but I'm gonna steal your thunder from last week and take Sadio Mane.
Sadio Mane is the best football player in the world.
Why is you laughing?
What's you laughing at for, Chris? I'm being serious.
Yeah, I'm taking Mane. I think he'll bag. I think he's going to be upset from having a goal ruled out last week. I think he'll bag. I also will probably captain Salah again this week, so I hope he'll bag as well. But I honestly expect Liverpool to run havoc against Everton. It's a Merseyside derby. Everton are on terrible form, and I think they'll run them up.
Fair enough. All right.
Yeah. Does that do it?
That does wrap it up, Ben. I don't think we had anything else that we wanted to talk about.
Oh, I did have one cool just like thing to mention.
Yeah, what?
You'll appreciate this because in your team for Jota. I don't know if you know this. That brother is like a pro FIFA player.
Yeah, no, he's nuts.
So like he literally that morning
was
like
playing qualifiers.
Played like qualifiers for like World Cup FIFA. And his celebration, if you saw him, he's playing Xbox in his celebration, which I just think is mad that the dude literally went and played like a FIFA World Cup.
Well, he apparently he had to leave early from the qualifiers. Yeah,
he had to leave.
Make it on time to the game.
FIFA qualifiers early and then scored 2 minutes into the game against. Like what a bro! Like
so
we
awesome.
Both play FIFA.
Yeah.
We're nowhere near that level, and we're also not pro-time Premier League footballers.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was an insane thing. I forgot to mention that during the Liverpool game, but I wanted to mention that. I just thought it was a fun story. Jota literally leaving a FIFA event, not in person, online, early to go play professional football and score a brace is just like, damn, like what a cool guy. But that will do it for us with that fun fact, guys. Once again, thank you to Jake and Trevor and anyone else that is watching, and for checking Trevor's questions. Anyone else that's watching, appreciate you spending your time with us. Best of luck to your team. If you want to tweet us your team, if you want to tweet us questions at Borderline FPL on Twitter, if you are watching right now, make sure to drop a like and a comment down below. We will respond to any and all of those. And let's go for 6 likes today. Let's go for 6 likes because Saka finished 6th in the Golden Boy Award today. We're gonna go for 6 likes. Okay. He was robbed. He was robbed, by the way. He should have.
Yeah, guys, we're trying to get some more engagement for sure. I'm gonna work on trying to get us up on Spotify before the end of the season if I can. So that is a goal of mine. I don't know when that will be, but I'm going to try my best to get it done. And guys, obviously, if you're new around here, hit that subscribe button. We appreciate you being here.
Follow us on Twitter, like we said, and let's hope Alba scores on Thursday because he's not leaving my team yet. So,
he's gonna be in your team in game week 38.
Bro, I'm too emotional. I'm too emotional to kick him out. Anytime I'm about to click the transfer button, I'd be like, "Oh, dude," but like, what if he goes off? You know. Like, what if he rolls back the years for me right now?
Oh, God.
So anyways, guys, on that note, thank you again and peace.
Peace, guys. Thanks.